Futures trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tech Talk. I am Cody. He is Andy. It is the 3rd of December, 2020. Wow, 2024. How you doing, pal?
It's almost 2025. We're getting close.
4 weeks away.
How was Thanksgiving?
It was really good. You know, besides the weather going from fall to winter within the matter of 6 hours, it was really good.
Did you eat a lot of turkey? Like, I picture you with like holding like the hammer and then like having like a big like leg and just just the two go hand in hand, obviously.
Right. As one would expect. I did. I still got it here. Haven't been able to use it in a while.
Did you get some pie, by the way?
Oh, I'm not a pie fan. I don't like pie.
You
We've
don't like
been through
pie?
this. Like, I feel like we go through this every year. I don't know. I just think pie is gross.
What's your favorite kind of pie?
Cool.
Speaking of Thanksgiving, you like pumpkin? Do you put a big thing with cream on there too, or just no?
Always. I don't know why.
Like
Not a
all
pie fan.
pies, like
Yeah, I don't like the only one that I can stand is pumpkin. Like everyone makes these weird pies, apple, rhubarb, pumpkin, just ridiculous pies.
I don't know if I'd take apple pie as like a weird pie. I'd say pretty
But don't
pie,
just
like
eat your fruit like it is. You ain't got to
rhubarb. I can understand, but like
No,
apple
no.
is pretty. It's like as American as apple pie. Like, have you ever heard that expression? Like,
Yeah, I'll just eat the apple off the tree. Not a fan.
I feel like that's a challenge. I'm gonna find you a pie that you're gonna like. All right, we'll put a pin in it. We'll circle back. How's that?
Throwback.
We'll,
Circling back.
let's circle up on some charts though. We had a couple requests.
We did.
Cheese in class 3. We'll start with cheese.
Came from our good buddy Adam.
Good buddy Adam, whose name also happens to have the word "good" in it. How about that? Our good buddy Adam name has "good" in it. Fill this gap here, right? This was the gap that we all kind of looked at and we're like, oh, is this if we break here, this is a big target. Broke that. Not feeling great, but also not seem to be finding, like, we got to 160 and I think barrels got super close to 160, 160 and a half.
Yeah.
And seemed to run into some support there. Futures were always premium to that price. It seems like we've gotten to the other end of the spectrum where when we were at like record high barrels, there was a big discount built into the futures. But now that we're kind of on the lower end of this, you're seeing a premium built into the futures. So futures are telling us cheese is worth more, like kind of in this area right here. Question is, do we keep going down, basically, right? I feel like that's ultimately the question people want to know.
I mean, it's only Tuesday, and we have to think last week was only a 3-day trading week, right? On the CME, we were out for Thursday and Friday. So we've almost engulfed all of last week's candle there.
Almost.
I don't know. Do you get we do have a small little gap that we created at what, $1.73 from 2 weeks ago. Do you get back up there and fill that gap at this time period where we sit? I don't know. Do we break down to $1.50? First, I would be more on that side of the boat. I think we go to $1.50 before we start our rally much higher.
This would imply, what you're saying is that we're going to go test this long-term upward trend,
which is about at $1.50. Yeah.
Yeah, more or less. It depends on how quickly you get there. You make a great point about whether or not, like, we're totally engulfing last week's trade. Potentially. Haven't gotten there yet, but we're getting close. Today's only Tuesday, right? All day today? Tuesday. So a lot of time left in the week. But what Cody's talking about is that, this bar was, what did it open at? Not that far away. Call it 167. So basically, we go trade like 167 and a quarter, which is only 1.25 cents higher from here. You will have engulfed last week's trade because we did open this week lower, technically, right? So we open a little bit lower, pop back up, and then we had today's session. I agree with you. I think you got to go down here and test some of this stuff. Test this out right here. There's obviously some talks about potential for like front loading ahead of, like obviously with our, the incoming president saying there's going to be some tariffs that are going to put into place for people front load ahead of that. Certainly possible. That said, again, you don't see a ton of like technical support here. For that to really begin, you'd probably be looking for like kind of like a pattern like this, right? Where you have a couple big down days, you engulf, and then start to go.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that yet. Starting to see like the beginning of it, but you really haven't seen it yet. So it's tough to say that it's time to get long. To your point, I think it feels like there's more of a chance for this to go down here and test. What would this be? Kind of like the mid to low 150s. Maybe that doesn't happen until after the start of the new year.
Yeah. Well, and I think looking back at $1.40, not saying we're going to go there first, but the market definitely does not like to stick around at $1.40 for very long at all.
For sure. Yeah, totally agree.
If there was a trip down there, I think it'd be a quick trip, get exports out of the market, and then rally ourselves back higher.
Yeah, I'd agree. One of the questions that I was asked is, are we going to see something like maybe like this?
Mm-hmm. Fill that and then come back down.
I think that's definitely possible, especially if we can close the week higher than previous week. Maybe you start to get some of that buying that comes in. People kind of say like, "Or we're done going down. I'm going to put in more orders."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've certainly seen a significant break, right? But that said, we didn't see that here. Totally different price level, right? I mean, we went from 189 to 197, 189, probably 185. You know what I mean? Like that didn't happen that previous time. It's a totally different price point, right? So I get that. But last time we saw that didn't happen, didn't play out that way. So I guess we want to be a little bit mindful of that. But yeah, I mean, to me, this feels like the most probable, right? Or potentially right coming, right? You get this kind of popper and then come back down, run out of
Mm-hmm.
gas around it. What price is those? Yeah, 172, 173. Where's D's cheese at right now? D's Jan cheese, 177, 174. So we had a big pop already today in Jan, and it's basically saying that's kind of where we'll start to run out of gas. So we'll see. But it feels like this is going. Question is, what do you do with it? Right? Let's say we're right and we get this little popper that ultimately comes back down. The other chart that Goody wanted to look at was Jan class 3. Big day today.
Big day. We might have drawn this last time. I thought we drew some Fibonacci retracements. I know I have it on mine, and obviously we blew through the downside of that retreat. Yep, that's exactly what I had too.
Let's go to
So,
here where it
I had my
started.
bottom at 1848, starting when we took that run up higher in August.
So, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Yep.
So about right there.
Yep.
Got it.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, easy to say it in hindsight, right? That we blew through it. So let's at
Mm,
least have it to where you can make the argument that we stopped going sideways and started to trend higher, which is kind of in this area,
right.
right? So called $18. Basically there. We're super close.
Yep.
And the market's starting to find some support there. Do we see this has been obviously a significant break, right? From $21 down to close to $18. You're talking about a $3 break. That's
Mhm.
massive. That's a big move. Like you're talking about, is that $6,000 a car? So
Yeah.
like, do we see some sort of retracement of all of this? It sure feels like it. So if we just narrowed this to here, right? Getting back up into just a third of retracements, just over $19. I think that's possible.
I think so.
You pop cheese back to like 172, 173. You take the market, where are we at now? 1875. You're talking about another 30, 40 cent rally from here. I think that's more than doable. More than
Yeah.
doable. The question is, what do you want to do with it? Right.
Well, I was just going to ask you the same thing because if you draw even a downward trend from, even if you, on that big wick, just like that, you get back into that 1917, 1920 range. I think you'd be a seller at that, don't you?
Okay, I'd agree. And look at how these two converge too. Hang on. Bam, right there.
There you go.
I mean, look how those two converge.
Right.
So I think that's going to be a pretty pivotal price point, right? It's a testing of that trend, but also too, it's 33% retracement. It feels like we're going to go trade that price. Not that far away. I think you could take cheese back to once, like we just looked at the like kind of get to the upper end of that range in the spot chart. I mean, what we've seen here in the last couple of weeks, you're talking about like 172, 173, not that big of a rally, right?
Right.
We just went from 260 in the barrel to 160
Yeah.
to
Well, and
go.
the other thing, I mean, dry away is keeping us pretty well, I want to say propped up in class 3, but let's be honest, dry away on spot trading about 70 cents right now is really keeping that price kind of elevated.
Sure, sure, I agree for sure. I mean, every penny in whey is 6 cents in class
Mhm.
3. It's a big
Correct.
spend. You
Yeah,
take the market, you take whey from 70 to 60. You're talking about 60 cents in the class 3.
exactly.
That's a massive move.
Right.
So I think we're on the same page. It feels like we could see some more strength here, stemming off of potentially like just cheese kind of carving out about them, finding a little bit of support. But ultimately, I think you got to be of the mindset to be a seller.
Agreed.
We shall see, man. This 2025 feels like it could be quite the wild year. Tariffs building up. You get some plants opening up. Milk production is kind of, we'll see how that goes. A lot of stuff.
It feels like when we walked into the beginning of 2024,
It
with, I
does.
mean, take away the, the elections and all that kind of jazz, but where prices are, it really feels like where we walked into the beginning of this year.
I totally agree with you. I think you could see a repeat of last year,
I think so
somewhat,
too.
right? Where you beat it up at the beginning of the year, and then get a bunch of stuff booked and start to go. But
Yeah,
we shall see. Maybe this year you'll eat some pie too. Maybe
possibly.
that's possible. It's not
Possibly.
likely, but it's possible. Last one. This is a homage to Minnesota Dan.
$2.50 spot butter.
So we're basically, I mean, look at where 250 is.
Yeah.
Relative to the point where it's been, right? All this support right here. Once it broke through 250 after trading sideways for several, I mean, this is almost a whole year that it traded sideways right here. It just took off. So 250, I mean, it's clearly a number where the market does not want to sit still once it moves away from it. It's a question of, do we continue to break, right? Like, it certainly has a lot of momentum to the downside. If you look here too, crossed zero and hasn't looked back since. But it's also got a lot of history and technical stuff to get through. But if it does, I mean, my gosh, like, 230 seems like a likely spot to go back to, right? At the beginning of all this. Let me just move this so you can see those numbers a little more clearly. There we go. Yeah, so 230 is also kind of where we kind of saw all this noise. 230, 235. I feel like that's in the cards, and only because, again, this right here, these three bars are just kind of a big sign of weakness in my eyes, right? Like you had this huge break, and then this is all that they could muster in terms of like a retracement, and then right back through it. So do we see something similar? It sort of feels possible, where you kind of pop ourselves back up to, I mean, where was this? 272. So call it like a 10, 12 cent rally from here. So call it we go back to 260, into here, right? I guess that wouldn't be a big surprise. It's not that big of a move, and we've seen how quickly butter can move on a week-to-week basis. So that's I guess I feel like we're due for something kind of similar that we just talked about in cheese, where you kind of come back up a little bit, retrace some of the stuff, and then proceed lower and into like new lows for this move.
Yeah. Well, I think you hit it right on the head. If down to 230, we could do that by the end of this year. What, 3 weeks left in the year? 3.5. You can get down to 230. My biggest question is, if we get down there in butter, do we, the next place to stop would be $1.60. Do I see us going to $1.60 butter? No. But on the chart, just looking at it blatantly, what you have drawn out here, that's kind of the next testing point after 230.
You got to think that would encourage buying.
Yeah, I think so.
Especially when you start, let's say we're there, let's say we are there by like mid-January. Where were we early? Well, I mean, we're not that much of that wouldn't be that much of a difference. But we were, okay, so like call it 270-ish. I mean, we were on our, like all this noise is, call it 265 on average. So it would be much better relative to the previous year, but also too, like what they could get forward bought would be clearly way better.
Correct.
So I think you start to see some of that. But I mean, like we got to go there first.
Yeah.
Short story long, 250 is a big number. Getting through that, closing through that, and then proceeding to open lower and moving. I think that would be a huge deal for this market. Futures don't seem to think so. They're nice and premium.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty big premium built into them. Some good price action there today. So yeah, the spot market's got to go prove itself first.
And maybe this is the thing, like you said, we started out around the same price point at the beginning of this year. Maybe it's the same kind of dance where we start out at 255, 260 and trickle our way back to $2.80.
Dude, you're going to be dancing in 2025. You're going to be eating pie in 2025.
Big year.
I may or may not get a tattoo. Like, who knows?
Dude.
New year, new you.
Who knows? We'll
Did
figure
you
it
get
out.
one? Are you going to show it off on the show?
Sure.
All right.
Well, it depends on where you get it too. I mean, I don't know. I have like, we'll have to ask Paige. We have to ask Paige. So
get the lawyers involved.
We'll get the get the lawyers involved. Well, aren't you going to the moon soon too?
Nah, we got a big year, man. That's a big year. Well, speaking of that, we do need to get a few more likes, subscriptions, followers before the end of this year, until all my promises from Phil and the Insights team comes true.
I just want to see you in outer space. You don't even have to go to the moon. Just like, let's just go to space.
That's like all of our friends that are watching. Please, if you have not subscribed, please do so. Tell your friends, tell your family. Hit that notification bell for us also.
What's it called? Smash it.
Smash it. Smash that bell.
Smash it.
Smash that bell. All right. Well, that's going to do us for another episode of Tech Talk. Andy and I will be back with you guys next week. Hopefully warmer weather. I doubt it, because it's the beginning of winter. Then this is kind of what we have here in the Midwest. But till then, everyone try to stay warm. Have a great week and even better weekend. We'll see you next week.
See you later.